A trip to a prehistoric cave. A trip to a prehistoric cave. Focus question. What did Emmanuel and Victor learn about prehistoric people while visiting friends? Introduction. Eager to see stalactites and stalagmites, Emmanuel and Victor begged to see caves while driving through France. They were learning about caves in school and wanted to see some bats too. Let's stop at Font de Gaume, they said their dad. It's not far from here. It's less easy. A tour to Font de Gaume. Victor, Emmanuel, and their mom and dad signed up for a tour and walked up some steps to the mouth of the cave. A heavy padlocked deer blocked the entrance. Sitting in the shade with other families, they waited for the tour guide. When the tour guide arrived, she looked their backpacks and purses in a cabinet. These help to protect the cave from objects brushing its sides, she said. Then she offered a suggestion. If you have jackets, keep them with you. It's much cooler in the cave. Once inside, the boys' hearts sank. The cave was dry, which meant no new stalactites or stalagmites were forming. They also didn't see any bats flying around. Victor shuffled his feet and whined. What's so great about this place? After walking 19.8 meters, 65 feet, their tour guide used her flashlight to illuminate a scene painted on the cave wall. The group gasped in uneason. They saw 5 bison painted in several colors, outlined in black and partly engraved. Wow, this is better than stalactites, exclaimed Emmanuel. Their tour guide shared that they were in one of the 6 most important caves in the world for the Upper Paleolithic period. Scientists think this cave was painted around 14,000 BCE, when only modern Homo sapiens lived. A unique thing about this cave is that the paintings are polychromatic, which means they are made up of many different colors. Their guide led them deeper into the cave and shined their flashlight on another painting. This one showed reindeer. Victor noticed the antlers first. They found the edges of a body and laughed when he saw that one reindeer was licking the other. Moving pictures. The guide showed them another bison picture. She turned off her flashlight's white light and switched to a red light. Moving it quickly, she imitated the flickers of fire, and an amazing thing happened. A bison that looked past it on the stone wall in the white light now seemed to come alive. Its side filled out, and it looked as if it were breathing. The painting seemed to leap off the rock with Stam's hooves. Remember, said the guide, these paintings were made and viewed by people using torches, not flashlights. The flickering LED light lets you see the surface of the rock and through the paint. Now you can see the curved paintings in the light that ancient humans saw them. The group counted to wander through the cave. Victor and Emmanuel see a bison with red horns, 2 deer with 2 bison, and a room decorated with little bison. Next, they saw 2 horses, one raising its forelegs. Here's your stalactite, the guide said, pointing to the hind legs of the horse. Ancient painters used stalactites to help them represent movement. They used the unevenness of the rock to show the fullness of an animal's body. What kind of paintings have you seen in this cave? Asked the tour guide. A girl in the tower answered. They're all animals. Right, said the guide. For thousands of years, cave paintings had only 3 kinds of subjects: animals, symbols, and people. There are no paintings of trees, plants, flowers, or the sun. As they stepped out of the cave into the bright warmth of the summer afternoon sun, Victor nudged his brother. Remember when you were little and you drew a heart on the dining room wall? Yeah, and Mom said, you are not a caveman. Use paper to draw on. When we asked Mom who cavemen were, she said they were people who lived in caves a long time ago. The tour guide overheard the boys and said, actually, cavemen didn't live in caves. You can go to Prehistoric Park to see how people really lived when this cave was painted. Let's go, chimed the boys eagerly. Prehistoric Park. After the tour, the family ate sandwiches for lunch at a cafe and then drove up the road to Prehisto Park. It was filled with life-size scenes of Paleolithic hunter-gatherers. Each scene had a sign describing the history of the scene. Victor and Emmanuel learned about the people and their homes, food, and art. The people. People today often think of cavemen as hairy humans who lived at the time of dinosaurs, wore animal skins, carried a club, and dwelled in caves. Victor and Emmanuel learned first that dinosaurs didn't have any human company. Second, the boys learned that while early humans may have worn animal skins, they probably carried spears, not gloves. And who would want to live in a damp, dark cave? Not even prehistoric people, according to the first sign. Their homes. If their hunter-gatherers didn't live in caves, what did they live in? Emmanuel asked. The first few scenes in the park answered his question. Ancient people built lean-tos near rock outcroppings by stretching animal skins over wooden poles. To keep warmer during the cold winter, they dug into the ground to make a wall of earth. Mammoth bones and tusks made the walls strong. The roof was made with wooden poles and covered with reindeer skins and dirt. One sign said, prehistoric builders carefully choose where to build their homes. They built their shelters in the places under rocks to keep out bad weather, to get the sun's warmth in winter and the most shade in summer. Their dwellings faced with the south to southwest. They also built homes near a water source such as a spring or river. Inside the dwellings, Emmanuel and Victor saw that ancient humans had places for fire, for sleeping, and for making weapons. A layer of flat stones kept the floor dry. Outside, the boys saw places to cut meat, cook meals, scrape skins, and make weapons and tools. The ancient people even had a place to put their garbage. Their food. The boys came up in a sense of a mammoth hunt. Their dad said, "This looks a bit different from going to the grocery store to get food." The sign read, "To hunt, early humans worked together setting traps in the marshland. Then they lured an animal close to the trap. Once a mammoth fell into the trap, it got stuck in the mud and men could more safely kill it by throwing spears." Emmanuel and Victor learned that prehistoric people probably fished more often than they hunted. Fishing was not as dangerous as hunting. Archaeologists, or people who study ancient cultures, they found fish hooks, nets, and traps. This shows them that ancient people probably fished. They think early humans probably used harpoons to fish, as well as to hunt animals such as bears. A boy's father, who had wandered ahead, came back to tell them of a scene down the path. Hunting and fishing were not the only sources of food. Come read about these. Gatherings were even safer than fishing, the boys said. A boys read, while early humans didn't farm. They gathered and ate wild roots, berries, and mushrooms. They also found eggs and honey, and sometimes ate larvae and nature insects. "Insects?" exclaimed the boys at the same time. They were so surprised they didn't even say jinx. Their art. Next, the boys saw a scene of an early human drawing on a cliff. "Maybe this will tell us more about the cave paintings," said Emmanuel. The boys learned that early Homo sapiens liked to draw, often on animal bones and cave walls. These ancient people didn't just draw anything they saw in their world. They drew things that meant something to their hearts, maybe as an art of worship. The sign read, "Prehistoric painters used their fingers or brushes made from hair or plants to apply paint. They used yellow, red, and black paint made from minerals in rocks. For 20,000 years, they painted the same way, using the same three paints. They used the rock's shape to enhance their paintings and used tools to curve the surface." Conclusion. Victor, Emmanuel, and their parents took a canoe trip on the Dordogne River, passing castles and caves that dotted the golden cliffs. When the boys stopped paddling, their dad asked, "Are you getting tired?" Victor answered, "I was imagining the paintings that might fill those caves up there. Wouldn't it be great to be the one who discovers them?" Emmanuel added. He was already dreaming of becoming an archaeologist and discovering more about the people who painted curves long ago.